Hello, greetings. Welcome to Tokyo Station. I wanted to share with you a trait that I've learned over the almost 30 years that I've been living here in Japan that's changed me as a Westerner coming to move here way back in 1998. This trait, which we say Gaman in Japanese, it really didn't, I don't even know when I picked it up. I don't know what degree I've picked it up, but I just know because when I compare myself with other Westerners that have moved here, I have a lot more of it than they do. And the word is gaman, or restraint. And this is also why a lot of Japanese probably are very, very tolerant people. They have a lot of restraint. Of course, there's probably people that want to physically abuse the foreign tourists that are doing very bad, nasty stuff here in Japan, making noises and stuff. But Japanese have this self-restraint. It's a very powerful thing, and many people will consider restraint, gaman, to be a weakness. And I have to tell you, after living here for so long, it is absolutely it requires a lot of strength in order to do something like this. And in particular, if you're not born into Japanese culture, to gaman suru on a lot of stuff is really hard. I want to explain what this means, and I'll give you some examples. I think this is something we can all learn from Japanese culture, and I think the Japanese can learn as well from Western culture, and I'll talk about that a little bit as well, which is really fascinating because I have this different perspective than perhaps a lot of people that are visiting Japan. So what does restraint mean in Japan? Well, the word is gaman, and it literally means, and this is the crazy part, right? It literally means enduring the seemingly unbearable with patience and dignity. Do you understand now how Japan gets through some of the most difficult and challenging things? Like after the Great Tohoku earthquake and tsunami, there was no looting, there weren't any riots. Everybody waited in line. Everybody shared the hardship. It's an amazing trait, especially at the time of tragedy. People can just gaman suru. They can wait. They can restrain themselves. Of course they want everything. But there's a self-restraint in Japan, and it's rooted deeply in Japanese culture. It's not passive, it's active endurance, quiet strength. To gaman suru is to preserve, control your emotions, and maintain harmony even when things are difficult. You getting where I'm going here? How powerful this is? This is absolutely not a skill set that we learn at least I didn't learn in school. It's something that's not taught in Japan. I don't even know if it's, I don't know what I'm saying. I'm not even sure if it's taught in Japan. Perhaps you just get it from your family. Not everybody in Japan has it, but it is a very strong part of the culture. This attitude comes from centuries of Buddhist, Confucian, and samurai influence. You can tell in the way that Japanese make food, in the way that they prepare food, or they present services, or in the way they react certain ways to bad tourists that come here. There's a restraint. Buddhism emphasized detachment and acceptance of suffering. Confucianism valued social order and deference. And Bushido, the samurai code, taught that emotional control equals honor. I think that's very much the case, and something we need more than ever in the 21st century, at least as we move to the middle of it. I'm seeing it lost more and more, in particular with visitors that come here, or even foreign residents that should know better. I'll talk about that in a second. In modern Japan, this shows up as social expectations. People should not burden others with their emotions or problems. You know what I'm saying? It's fascinating, right? I really want to get into this a little bit deeper here. It manifests daily as in public behavior. You rarely see public outbursts in Japan, right? Even after natural disasters, as I explained to you, foreign journalists marveled at the lack of looting, the collective restraint. It was impressive. Workplaces, people endure long hours without complaint. They don't complain about having to work longer hours. It's an amazing thing. They'll do it maybe at home, or their wives or husbands will complain about it, but really, people know how to endure and restrain from expressing themselves emotionally, it really is a strength. Communication, Japanese speech is indirect and nuanced. Saying no outright is rare. Instead, phrases like ちょっと難しいですね. Politely signal refusal. Restraint shapes how truth and disagreement are expressed through subtle cues, not confrontation. There's a reason why I'm making this video now, by the way. Aesthetic expression, even Japanese art, architecture, cuisine reflect restraint. Minimalism, empty spaces. There's a restraint. You don't need to push forward and assert yourself, which is the Western trait that maybe Japanese could learn more of. Combining the two, you really do have a very powerful then a gift, I think, that personality traits that people don't have in either side. Japanese probably need more assertiveness. Westerners absolutely need more restraint. In many Western cultures, especially the US, self-expression and assertiveness are virtues. People are taught to speak up, share your feelings, and stand out. In Japan, the ideal is closer to, you know your place, read the air, kuki o yomu, kuki yomu, KY. I love this expression because instead of thinking about yourself and what you feel, you look around and you see nobody really gives a darn anymore. People are thinking about their own things. Why burden them with your problems? Why burden them with your issues? This is such a Japanese trait that I just absolutely love, and this is what keeps the harmony in this wonderful country. That's why Tokyo Station, and maybe I'm the most disruptive person. I'm not really speaking that loudly while I'm out of the way, but I practice restraint more than I realized, actually. Westerners often view restraint as repressive. Japanese see it as mature self-control and social intelligence. The goal isn't to hide emotions, but to preserve harmony and respect the feelings of others. This is fascinating. You can learn so much by coming here to Japan, more than just going to the attractions and eating the food. You see it by observing the people. Here are the few complementary concepts not widespread in the West. So these are other things that I thought maybe you could take away from this video, because I really do want you to learn some stuff from this channel. Wa, which is harmony above all. I love this word very much. Avoiding conflict is a virtue. It doesn't do any good to have conflict. Avoiding it seems to do more for your community and your environment around you. Enyo, modesty and hesitation, not taking the last piece of sushi. It's both annoying to Westerners and also very interesting to Westerners. It's always interesting to see when the English teacher that comes to Japan, when I used to teach English teachers and I would train my replacement. I did that like almost 20 times. Japanese would never take that last piece of food, and it was always the new replacement that would just start to gulp down that last piece, which is actually not a bad thing. You don't want to waste the food. Mottainai, which is another principle. Wasting anything is not good. Shikataganai, it can't be helped. Acceptance of things beyond your control. That could also be a weakness, but it's a strength, I think. Hone and tatemai, you guys might know this one, the contrast between one's true feelings, how I really feel, my hone, and the public facade that we show in front of people where we might not smile at all. And this is why Japanese probably don't smile as much as they should. I think they're smiling inside. I give everybody the benefit of the doubt because there's W. Yorkster was in the house. Thank you, brother. Managing this balance is a form of social restraint. Yeah, the tatemai is also a very important concept in Japan to not show emotion. And it's not that Japanese people aren't emotional. They don't need to show it publicly. It doesn't do any good to, show happiness, or great sadness. I had a friend who I love very much. She's a voice actress here named Sones. Sones, I don't know if she's watching, but she was the English voice of Hello Kitty. Super nice woman, I haven't seen her so long. I'm gonna probably contact her after this. But Sones would always try to make an effort to smile and bring her Westernness in the most positive way on public transportation. She wouldn't, be overpowering, but she would definitely smile and talk to people and maybe break the wa a little bit, but she would always bring these kinds of good vibes. And I think we feel as Westerners that Japanese might not be feeling good, and maybe they're not, but we just don't know because of that facade there. It's fascinating. And omoiyari, which is empathy expressed through anticipation, acting considerately without needing to be asked. I do this so much, I don't even realize I'm doing it, but it's something that you will pick up. I think it takes you about 10 years of living here before you start to pick up, where you start doing stuff for other people, you notice that they need it done, and you start doing it without having to be asked. It's an amazing thing. The hardest thing is to refill a guest's sake cup. I love this one. You just have to know. When I go out drinking with Japanese friends, it's not a burden to me. I don't even think about it, but I notice when they finish their sake and I will pour their cup, and they do for me too. I don't even think about it anymore. It feels like a burden having to do it, but the longer you're here, you're really thinking about the people around you a lot more. And I love this strong connection with preservation of harmony, which is part of that concept. And I think that these are some really great examples. Like when you'll see a salaryman miss a commuter train. He might even have been running, but he does not kick the train. He does not show his frustration. I've seen this so many times. They just shoganai, shikataganai. After an earthquake, the evacuees wait in line silently for hours. In the worst situations, they could be hungry. They'll wait in lines. I was amazed at the order after. I made a video on the Nagasaki and the Hiroshima bombing, the Nagasaki bombing, and I talked with survivors, and I was just amazed at the order, people in pain, and how they just were able to maintain a certain amount of dignity through the worst kinds of situations in this country's history. It's a very, very powerful thing. It's a very strong thing. A tea master performed. Oh, I like this one. The coworkers say, not accusing you of being wrong, but instead saying, that's interesting. What if we also consider this? I haven't experienced something exactly in this sort of way, but people do avoid conflict here, and they'll find a way around it, which can be annoying to Westerners. But if they were direct, it could be confrontational and have risks of its own. So you have to think about it in that sense. And also, a tea master performs the same ritual every day for decades with precision, restraint turned into art. If you see, anytime the kitchen is open and you see chefs performing their duty, it is more than just cooking food. It's really an art. There's a certain amount of restraint that's practiced in daily life here that you don't recognize, and you see it as an amazing skill. And what that really is, in many ways, is a form of restraint. It's a fascinating concept here. And Gaman and restraint, the reason I bring it up here, you can see a little bit better right there, is because over the last few weeks, there have been two YouTubers that have been going at it, creating drama. One of them didn't start it. One of them just released another video. I really don't want to get into it, but all of this could have been avoided if they had practiced that some of the things that they should have picked up living here in Japan, to gaman, to have restraint. One video came up so suddenly before you even contact the other person, you're already criticizing them and making a public display of it. You've not been in Japan long enough to really understand the culture, I think. The other creator was calling people out by name, showing his emotions, showing his hone very, very publicly, creating probably with good intentions, but not in the way that Japanese would do it, in a way that created conflict. And that also shows this creator probably needs to learn a little bit more about Japanese culture as well. And I do too. It's something that I work on every day. A lot of the stuff that I've picked up over living here for so long, it's just because I've been here for so darn long. I don't actually realize some of the annoying things that I do that annoy Westerners. And these things annoy Westerners. I'm so undisclosed on these two. Yeah, I know. It's not a real story anymore. And I don't want to make any more responses on it, but I think both of them, like, I'm out. I have nothing more to talk about it except we got to do better. All Japanese creators that have been here for at least 5 years should know some of these traits that will help you fit in better as not just a YouTube creator that's living in Japan, but separate yourself from tourists, YouTubers from abroad that are making content here. If you can learn these principles, then you're not going to have a lot of problem making content here in Japan. Now, I got called out a lot because I'm a friend of Alyssa's. I know Chris, and I have a lot of respect for their works. And perhaps I shouldn't comment at all. I should practice restraint. But there's a certain amount of restraint and there's a certain amount of assertiveness that you must balance. And I try very much to do this. And I know that for Westerners who have no idea about Japan, will see this as one of my greatest weaknesses, and maybe it is. But you have to question these things, and you have to learn from it even at 50 or 60 or 70 years old, and learn to evolve from these. One of the comments here, make your own videos attacking Chris, which I did not do. All I did was leave a comment and it wasn't an attack. You had your chance, but you folded to criticism. I did not. Can't blame you being the nice guy. You know what they say, nice guys finish last. I'd never heard that before. I don't think that that's true. I think if you're sprinting, that's probably an issue, but life is a marathon and nice guys do not finish last. So the reason I bring this comment up is because there have been an extraordinary amount of people asking me to condemn or call out people. You do not need to do that. You do not need to call out anybody. You can call out an issue that has to do with generalization. There is too much sensational content. Graffiti is an issue that has been increasing in Japan. Bad behavior from tourism is an issue. To call out people, I would only do it if they're breaking the law and the police are on their case, i.e. Johnny Somali and some IRL streamers that are well documented in the news. Those might be very special cases, but even then, I think it's better to call attention to the acts rather than the individual, because publicly, there's the hone, and my feeling is to come out with this stuff like right away, but there's also great restraint where I don't want to do it and I give some consideration and thought to it. I restrained myself in the video on Nagasaki and a lot of the comments that came in. Shikata ga nai. And that means it can't be helped. There's nothing you really can do about it. And people are going to have their feelings, and I delete some of the really bad comments, but I don't delete all the other comments because it can't be helped. That's why they stay up there. That's what people's feelings are, and we can learn from that, because not everybody understands having a public face and a private face because now you're anonymous. You understand what I'm saying here? John, I think you're just too nice. Not really. That's my hone, that's my public, that's what I'm showing you. But deep down, I'm a really nasty person. You don't know that. I'm not, but I could be. It's harder for Westerners to hide it. And that's why I kind of I don't really have a two faces or masks. I'm kind of who I am. But I could talk a little bit about that as well. But I think in this kind of a situation where two creators have created this drama, it could have been avoided and saved us all a lot of nothing burger, which is really what it is. And I'm just sad that we took away so little from this. There's already YouTubers saying who won, and that's besides the point. They both lost. That's my opinion, and I'll stick to it. Nobody won, all right? I don't like the fact that one creator's reputation got destroyed. They have a right to make this kind of content, and the other creator has a right to make that content, but I just didn't like the way it all went down, because these two creators should know better. They should know better. In a way, I'm calling them out. I know, I get that. But the comment says here, it just play. So like a lot of people were calling me out to say my piece, and I think I did it, and I did it in a way that I think is constructive, and I'll continue to probably do that. But in the most part, I probably will keep more to myself. I understand. I listen to the comments that people tell me. I may not comment all the time, but I learn from them as well. There's always there's sometimes some truth in it, and you do have to self-reflect and find your flaws and work on them. And that's also something that I learned here in Japan. When I was 15 years old, I had a bad temper. I couldn't, I don't know how I got through my high school years, or even my college years for that matter, but I was able to do it. And when I got here to Japan, I did not have any of those qualities, I think. I was who you think I would be if I came to Japan without the internet and learning anything about Japan. I was exactly who you thought I would be. But I think, I don't know, maybe around 2003, after 6 or 7 years, I started to really evolve. I stopped eating. I found it was so expensive to eat Western food that I started to learn how to cook Japanese cuisine. I got interested in cooking for myself. And that's when I started to use the suihanki or rice cooker a lot more. I guess it was about a few years in, instead of trying to make instant pasta. It's hard to incorporate that rice cooker. Maybe not so much these days, because back then you didn't have the internet. You really didn't know what was going on. You had somebody teach you how to do this, and because you had an active interest or not. And then, a few years in, I recognized the evolution. Also, you get it when you learn the language. When you learn how to speak Japanese, you also learn restraint and how to use it, because the culture is also very much, the way you use Japanese is very much rooted in that gaman, that restraint, you know. It's a fascinating topic. All right, I'll take some questions here because this is a live stream. I haven't been on for a while. I apologize to that. I kind of tried to get in here as much as possible. Sometimes I can't. I so appreciate your honest and vulnerability here. Thank you for the content you make. Emily, there's a word that I really like that I learned this thing after years of doing YouTube. It's called authenticity. It means you just got to be the person that you are and not try to fake it and not be somebody else. If you can do that, then people are not just going to believe you, but they're going to trust you and they're going to want to watch your content. And I don't know. It's not just me trying to be honest. It's just, I don't know, just this is what I would normally do, okay? This is what I normally do. I guess maybe, yeah, I don't know. But I do think more creators need to, if they live here, start to embrace the language and the culture and to learn about this through the personality traits that the people around you, which is 99.9% of them, because there aren't as many foreigners living here, you can learn a lot, and that's how you're going to fit into your community a lot more as well. I think that it's hard being a peacemaker. Somebody said, "Blessed are the makers of peace," or something to me, a comment, and I said that was a wonderful comment. I'd heard that before. There's a lot of good things about it. You don't want to see people suffer, and you don't want to see people make critical mistakes. There's also a time where you should also mind your darn business. I've been told that before too. And that's where that trait, kuki o yomeru, KY, to read the air, you kind of got to get a feeling of it. Now the two creators have gone back and forth enough. Yeah, I can mind my own business. I think I did more than enough. All right. And let the drama makers and the talking heads and the reaction people do what they do. But that's not what I do here. So, Aspire Studios, any more midnight snack runs? Since I stopped eating after about 6:30, 7 p.m. The diet's been pretty successful. I've had more energy. I'm having a health check in a couple of days. My blood pressure is low now. My heartbeat per minute is down to like 51. I guess it's because I do go running and I have been eating a lot healthier. I avoid alcohol now, if maybe one drink a month, mostly for work. I gotta film a video or something. So I don't know, it's hard to do a midnight snack when you have that, but maybe I can do one a month. Maybe I can do one a month. I have a friend of mine, my friend Tom, who was at my wedding. His heartbeat's like 47, 46 beats per minute. It's ridiculous. He can run a marathon in 2 hours and 20 minutes. I think he might have broken that. My best friend from high school and elementary school. So yeah, I was 51 beats per minute, and that was pretty low, I thought. I don't know. My wife was concerned. Want to understand Japan, salaryman, izakayas, Dima. Well, if I met with TKYO Sam, who is both loved and abhorred by YouTubers, by YouTube in general. He has a personality when he's online. To me, and I think it's changing because he's getting older, but to me, he's always been this really kind, like gentle giant. He doesn't act the way he does in his videos when we're talking. I always said to him, and he's a big guy and very opinionated guy. He's American. He rides a bike. He's quite large. That doesn't matter to me, which it shouldn't. I've been around sumo wrestlers before, so I guess I kind of can see that in him. But he is the nicest guy in person to people around him, and he doesn't show it in his videos. And he's a tough guy maybe, or trying to be funny or something, but he's just a super nice guy and a good friend. And some of you might disagree with him, but I don't watch his. I don't watch his content so much, but I don't mind hanging out with him. You don't really pick your friends sometimes. He's a good person. I see the best in people, and I've seen, gosh, I've seen people that are angels and so good in their YouTube videos. They're so good in the YouTube videos, and I meet them in person, and they're complete jerks. They're so nasty. And I've met people that seem not great on their videos that are so nice in person, and that would be Sam. Sure, he has a potty mouth. Sure, I might make a comment, and sure, he does his best to turn it down when we're hanging out. But he is a really good person, and that I try to really judge people on how they are when I'm in front of them, not who they are online. Yeah. And people who have met him in person say the same thing. If you only know his personality online, you might not say that. He can be abrasive. I don't watch his content that much. Personalities are coin flip. Truth always comes out though. Well said. The one thing with these live streams, and there's almost 2,000 of them, I'm far from perfect. I think though, you can't have a personality disorder and have a live streaming channel with 300,000 subscribers. You just can't do it. It would never happen. You can't be successful if you aren't just trying to be yourself, I guess you could say. Why the heck are you watching? What are you watching for? Have you heard of Tokyo Sims? I have not. I don't know what that is. A lot of those jerks have outed themselves as jerks. If you just read Reddit search, I try to stay away from Reddit, Dario, but that could quite very well be. People eventually show their true colors. I've noticed over time, but I'm also kind of a helpless optimist sometimes, and I just think that people also make mistakes. So people could show their true colors, but sometimes it has to be a pattern of before you can judge them on it. But usually actions, you can judge people by actions, and when they show themselves through their actions, and sometimes their words, because people do have to push that publish button. You stand behind that when you push that publish button. You have my respect. Well, thank you. You have my respect. I'm not really looking for anyone's respect, but I'm very happy to get it. I did not get any bad vibes with you when chatting in Shibuya back at 20. Joshua, I would hope not. Sometimes I'm sort of in a hurry. Sometimes I am busy. Most of the time people do understand. I kind of remember meeting you though, and I appreciate that. Actions speak louder than words. I've met a lot of people over the years. I know when I'm usually, I'll ask people their names. Yeah, Joshua, I remember now. I ask people their names, and then they remind me, oh, we've already met before, and I go, oh. The best is when I actually encourage people to take pictures or selfies with us together, and then if you do meet me again, if you show me, because I try my best to remember everybody. It's really hard, but the great thing about doing the live streams is that, I don't mind too much when people come and say hi, as long as they have good intents. Met Paolo in person, no difference between video and real life, absolute champ. Yeah, Paolo's a pretty good guy. I think in person, he might have his game face when he's editing, but he knows how to break out a smile, and he knows how to give a hug. He's a good guy. Sir Shroom, thank you. Nice to be here. Nice to see you here. I appreciate that. I just think that everyone has to everybody has to just live their lives the way they think is best. But the big asterisk mark with that is that people tell me that people don't change. And I just reject that. I think that people can change. I think it's rare. I don't think it's a massive change, but I think that people can change. And I think that you can change by learning from other people. You can change by listening more than speaking. You can change by learning a second language or taking up a craft or changing your behaviors or your habits. The best way to change is to change your habits. If you're want to be a better person, go to bed earlier and wake up earlier. Try to change your habits maybe or maybe go to bed later and wake up later. I don't know. But if you can change your habits a little bit, then you start to change other things about yourself, I've noticed, and that has a big impact. I've changed my diet habits, and I've noticed that I'm starting to change other things. It just sort of comes. It's like a momentum. You move one piece and all the other pieces seem to kind of shift. And that's been my experience. You need to practice what John talked about at the beginning of the stream. I don't even want to know. Did somebody get knocked out? You can read. I keep the live stream on the right side now because this is one of the things I could do in the app, but also as a record because you guys were here when it was live. This is a live stream. So your comments, which don't always go as quickly as they are on my screen, they are also recorded. So, all right, I'll take one more question. Oh yeah, President Trump was here. President Biden when he was here. I did an episode on talking about President Biden coming here. Whenever I say president and America, it triggers some people. I don't care about that, but any U.S. president that comes to Japan, I absolutely love the fact that the U.S. president came to Japan. When I covered Biden, when President Biden came here, he went to, and I don't think he has any control on where he goes. President Biden went to where my wife and I had our wedding. He ate dinner where we had our wedding. That was just an amazing thing, you know. That was cool. And we had our wedding at a place called, dang it, that's not as bad as forgetting your wedding date. It's on the top of my head somewhere. I've been forgetting stuff recently, like little stuff. It'll come to me. But that was a cool little tidbit. But President Trump on this trip, he came and he was really all business. But the one little nugget of information, I don't know if you guys know this, it hit the wire. I guess if you're left or if you're right, you're probably gonna laugh about this. I'm a fan of Takaichi Sanai, and you guys all know that. I'm a fan of anybody who's prime minister and takes this job. I don't really care what party you're in. It's a tough job. All the stuff that they tried to brand her with, including foreigners that were talking a lot of smack about her. She's not going to lead like that. The same thing with every president when they get in office, they change. But she's very, very smart. All right, she's very smart. She showed her leadership. The only reason she's prime minister was because she had to show leadership to get there. The food that she served, I think it was at lunch. This is so smart. Steven's like cringe. The food that was served to President Trump was so smart. It was American rice and American beef. Is that not the most... The one thing that he talks about is that Japan doesn't import the rice and the beef. So what did she serve for lunch? American rice and American beef. And I have no doubt that it was really good food. I just love that. That's really thinking outside the box. And she said she's buying a Ford pickup truck. Maybe it's a little brown nosing in a way, but it's all about the details, making friends. I thought that was really creative. So when it hit the wire and I read it, I had a huge smile on my face, like, that is so smart. Saying, oh, by the way, this is American beef and American rice. Yep. Joshua gets it. That's so clever. Disarms that talking point, and maybe we can get back to other stuff. But yeah, that 4D chess move right there. That is a different level of diplomacy right there. Yeah, but I was, I loved it. I loved seeing when President Biden was here, that was during the pandemic, so it was hard to get around. But I was really happy when he came and seeing the friendship with him and Prime Minister Kishida, who is from Hiroshima, and then seeing the friendship between Takaichi and Trump, President Trump, I thought was really great. And I think that's great for Japan and great for the feeling. And we talk about the animosity that Japan has for foreigners now. I do feel it on the fringes, but when you see displays like that, it's all like deep down, I don't really think that is the feeling of the people of Japan. And there is that Gaman. There is a very strong level of restraint that I think is very important with this. And you can see it. I think you genuinely have to like the people that you work with in order to get stuff done. And I think that the two genuinely liked each other, and that was great. He gave him Abe-san's putter, I think, which is a very nice gesture. I just like the friendship, and that's the kind of friendship that I hope when you come to Japan, you kind of feel that with the hospitality from Japanese as well. Yeah, American leaders love Japan, and I think Japan is a great host, and Japan does a great job of building that relationship. And I really hope that we can improve stuff with the U.S. because a lot of small business owners, a lot of Japanese really depend on that business abroad, finding ways to connect with that market. And having a relationship is paramount to the happiness, I think, of this country as well. As also, you have to understand as well as also protecting the culture that we have within Japan and making sure that Japanese culture is respected by the people who come to visit. But trust me on this. When anybody tries to scare you about how Japan is against foreigners and stuff, it's about that 1% that 0.1% that makes all the trouble. It's not about you. It is not an issue that you really need to worry about it. Yeah, you're probably going to see a little bit more or feel it a little bit, but deep down it's only surface stuff, and it's an emotion that will probably go away. But people still handle it by Gaman and restraint. And that's why this word is so important in today's society, and maybe some Japanese need to think about this too. Maybe they can learn, again, their own traits from a foreigner, which is kind of funny, right? I like that. I'd say quite a lot of times when I travel around Japan, making only in Japan, and I've been to all 47 prefectures like 5 times. It's ridiculous. I've traveled everywhere so many times. That's what I do. I could teach people about Japan. I could teach Japanese about their own country. That is a good feeling. And I try to do it in a really positive way, so it's a good thing. Any other questions, guys? All right, everybody, thank you. I hope you have a great day. Take care, and if you have any questions, you can leave me in the comments below.